Hello everybody, welcome to the Wednesday edition of Video Clips. And a couple things. First of all, fall semester starts in about a month, a little over a month. We're offering, of course, the Diet and Lifestyle Intervention course, which is a wonderful overview of informed decision making and diet lifestyle change. And then for those of you who are enrolled in our Alternative to Dietetics program, chemistry, plant-based nutrition and health, and meal planning are part of that course. And we have many programs here for professional development. So if you're a healthcare professional and you're kind of sick of the way medicine is and you want to go a different direction, send me an email, pampopper@msn.com. If you are not a healthcare professional, but you're getting the idea that there sure is a lot of work to do to help people who have been miserably informed by our healthcare system, pampopper@msn.com. I will send you information, and then we can also schedule a time to have some conversation about it too. I think that decisions about career and education are really important, so I try to spend as much one-on-one time as my schedule permits with people who are trying to figure that out, okay? So this is a good time. Fall semester is a good time. Any time's a good time to start, but fall is kind of a natural time to start. So if you're thinking of going that direction, this would be a good time for us to chat. Now, I want to report some good things that are going on. We call it the resistance around here, and when we get reports of the resistance, we think it's both inspirational and also instructional, because some of you out there are citizens who can file petitions, hire lawyers. Some of you are lawyers looking to file cases. We have a wonderful organization here in Ohio called the 1851 Center for Constitutional Law. Maurice Thompson heads it, and he's a marvelous lawyer. Very dedicated and very meticulous about what he does. And first of all, he has agreed to defend anybody. The center has agreed to defend anybody who gets in trouble in Ohio based on the mask issue. He put out a wonderful, posted on their website, a very wonderful summary of the governor's mandate, order rather. It has it's completely unconstitutional and they can't enforce it. And all over Ohio, by the way, I love the sheriffs who are just saying, don't bother me. I don't want to be, don't call me. I don't want to hear about it. So really this becomes a public health type thing, and they can't arrest you. Public health can't arrest you. They can try to educate you. I mean, that term should scare you, that we're going to educate you to have a different idea. That's what the communists do. They're very good at it, actually. And they have specific camps, like if you don't succumb to the outpatient education program, then you get to go someplace in a residential place where they get to educate you in a different sort of way. You might want to look into that, because that's coming to a place near you very soon. Well, anyway, I digress. So the 1851 organization has already taken on a client with some success. So basically, this started with Cattlemans Restaurant in Savannah, Ohio. It was shut down without a hearing since the Ashland County Health Department issued a cease and desist order on July 15th, 2020. So the 1851 Center filed a complaint and motion for temporary restraining order, explaining that the health departments lack the authority to suspend an Ohio business license, even temporarily, over an alleged mask violation. So they filed it, and then this morning in the newspaper, I was so excited to see this. An Ashland County judge has ruled that a Savannah restaurant can reopen after it was shut down last week by the Ashland County Health Department because employees were not wearing face masks. Ashland County Common Pleas Judge Ronald Forstoffel on Thursday granted Cattleman's Restaurant request for a temporary restraining order on the basis that its food license was revoked without due process. So the restaurant is opening this Saturday. If you live in Ohio, any place near the Savannah, this particular restaurant, you should go there, the Cattleman's Restaurant. I don't eat probably most of what they serve there, but I almost want to drive up there and have a baked potato just to show my support. So anyway, the order applies for 14 days, and the court will schedule a hearing on or before July 31st to settle the matter. Now, what I thought was wonderful, also on Thursday, this was yesterday, Ashland County Prosecutor Christopher Tunnell recused his office from defending the health department because he believes the department's actions are indefensible. So the prosecutors are now starting to say, I'm not doing it. And so thankfully, we have some really wonderful sheriffs out there who are saying, I'm not participating in this nonsense, don't bother me. And now I'm hoping that more prosecutors will just say, I'm not doing this. So we need more organizations like the 1851 Center for Constitutional Law stepping up to the plate, taking on these cases. We need more prosecutors to say, I am a principled person and I will not do this. And I'll tell you what, this stuff can end quickly if we have enough principled people standing up for the citizens of the United States. There are some people, like this prosecutor, who knows what's going on, knows that our rights are being violated by a despot who used to be the governor of Ohio. All right, here's another good guy. Georgia. Governor Brian Kemp is explicitly banning Georgia's cities and counties from ordering people to wear masks in public places. He voided orders on Wednesday that at least 15 local governments across the state had adopted, even though Kemp had earlier said cities and counties had no power to order masks. Kemp's move is likely to infuriate local officials in communities that had acted, including Atlanta, Augusta, Savannah, Rome, and the governor's hometown of Athens, Clarke County. Overall, mask orders by Wednesday were covering 1.4 million of Georgia's more than 10 million residents. Kemp's new order also bans local governments from requiring masks on public property, which void requirements that some governments have imposed for citizens to wear masks inside city and county buildings. Love this guy. Another principled person. He must not be part of the criminal enterprise that we are subjected to. And he's not, obviously not the emperor of Georgia. So somebody out there who's not compromised and doing the right thing. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, a Tulsa man is suing the city of Tulsa to stop the mask ordinance that went into effect. Jeffrey Dickstein asked the court for an injunction against the mandate, saying it is unconstitutional and government overreach. After he filed his lawsuit at the courthouse on Friday, he says he believes the city is out of its legal authority. He used to be an attorney in California working on federal criminal tax law defense for 40 years. Today, he was at the courthouse on the day that this happened, suing the city of Tulsa. And he said the city council had absolutely no legal authority to do what they did, which is true. He pointed specifically to the Oklahoma State Constitution and the civil emergencies portion of the city's ordinances. It defines a civil emergency as a riot or unlawful assembly or any natural disaster or man-made calamity, including a flood, fire, cyclone, tornado, earthquake, or explosion within city limits. He claimed that COVID-19 would not fall under that. Whether there's a pandemic going around or not and how deadly it is, I believe, remains to be seen. I guess hospitals are filling up and people are getting sick. It's still up to us as Americans to determine how we want to deal with it. And by the way, I think one of the things, and this goes back to my request from yesterday about the tests, if the tests are defining the pandemic, and the pandemic is then being used by the criminals to issue these mandates, then if the tests are wrong, it all goes away. So I'm going to plead with you again. Write to me at pampopper@msn.com if you are one of those people out there who scheduled a test, didn't get it, and you got a positive test result, or you have similar stories about facilities and that sort of thing. By the way, I will never announce your name in this setting, okay? We would only do it in a way that you would agree with and as part of an action that might be taken in a court of law, and we would make sure that you're protected. All right, so that's some good news. And then there are so few principled, and I'm going to save the best one for last because I know it's something you guys are really going to be excited about. All right, so there are some principled politicians left. I don't know this particular guy. He's a congressman from Ohio. His name is Warren Davison, and he sent out a communication to his constituents. And he said, for more than 4 months, vast portions of the United States have seen an unprecedented response to public health risks posed by COVID-19. However, many of the case projections that spurred government action were grossly inaccurate. And by the way, we don't talk about that enough. You know, Fauci and Birx, they're supposed to be the best doctors, which that should scare the heck out of you if they're the best we've got. They used a model that was 96% off, that was developed by a guy who had done it 3 times before, and didn't investigate his track record or anything before they did. They knew it was 96% off at a certain point in time, and that nitwit Deborah Birx, who doesn't even hold a medical license anymore, gets up in front of TV yesterday and says, we don't know if we can open the schools because kids might be transmitters. Children are not transmitters. Schools are open all over the world right now, and there hasn't been any problem, Dr. Birx. And some of us actually do look into these things so we know when you're lying. You know, some of us who do investigate know when you're lying. But so anyway, I digress. But the point is that this guy's pointing out wildly inaccurate projections were used to take these actions. He says many of the unprecedented actions are cause for some alarm. For more than 4 months, assorted orders, nearly exclusively using executive branch authority, have imposed all manner of restrictions on Americans. These public health orders have deemed some activities essential and others non-essential. They've closed churches, restricted free speech in the press, closed gun shops, violated our privacy, delayed trials, and more. To be clear, this has been done differently or avoided altogether by America's governors. When questioned, Governor Murphy of New Jersey even said, "The Bill of Rights is above my pay grade." No, sir, it is not. Every American is protected by the Bill of Rights, and every American is to be represented by a Republican form of government. To reassert the primacy of our Constitution and to restore the blessings of liberty, I'm introducing the Defend Freedom Act this coming week. My bill would require the Attorney General, the U.S. attorneys who serve as federal prosecutors, and all federal law enforcement to pursue charges where violations of civil rights have occurred. Amen to that. In addition, I'm working to adapt this legislation for use by states so that state legislatures can rightly reassert due process, because we sure don't have any here in Ohio. We have a despot who's appointed himself the governor, or the emperor of Ohio. Used to be governor, forgive me there. I sometimes get the two. I used to think of him as a nice guy who was a governor. I still have to really get straight in my mind how this guy became what he is today, because there was no sign that he had that tendency before. As a Wisconsin court rightly ruled, governors may have some executive discretion for a limited time, days, not months. But as the Fifth Amendment states, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation. The Defend Freedom Act recognizes that many will make use of a crisis to infringe protected freedoms. The Defend Freedom Act advances the cause of justice by opposing and preventing abuses of power. So I think one of the things we ought to do is find out, I'll report to you back on if this got introduced. I wanted to read this to you today because I thought it was first inspirational, a politician who understands what the Bill of Rights is all about and believes that the country belongs to the citizens. But we'll find out if this was indeed introduced. Then what we should do is make sure that we get a hold of our congressman and senator to ask if they're going to support it. And we're going to start publishing lists on our MAFA, Make Americans Free Again website of good and bad politicians, what they've said no to, what they've said yes to. And I put my own elected officials on notice this week that if they didn't come up with something that was going to make life better around here, we were going to put them in the does not respond to citizens category on our website. And of course, I think they're laughing at it right now. They usually laugh. They don't laugh at me on the phone. I think they're smarter than that, or an email. But I think they laugh when they hang up the phone or finish sending the email, like they think that we have to do something for them. I mean, they're so disconnected from what's going on out there, and they are so not on our side, the vast majority of them. All right, so I said I was going to save the best for last, and I'm very excited about this. So this was written by a lawyer, and we're posting it on the Make Americans Free Again site. It'll be under legal. And it has to do with contact tracing and the Supreme Court. And I don't want to read this whole thing to you. I mean, if you want to see it, just go to the website. While you're there, join if you haven't joined, okay? So I'm just going to read the part that's the most important. The Supreme Court of the United States agrees about this contact tracing with what most of us think. The use of cell phones by government entities to geo-track people is not a new nor an unsettled issue. Although it may be legal for a hospital or university to purchase such data from a cell phone provider for research purposes, it is not lawful for the government to use the data from data scientists to track individuals without a warrant, even though that data comes from a third party. In Carpenter v. U.S., the Supreme Court held that a government entity must have a warrant to use cell data to geo-track someone, even when that data comes from a third party. Additionally, the Supreme Court held in Kylo v. U.S. that a government entity must have a warrant to use infrared technology to look inside a private building, and to do so without a warrant is a violation of our rights to privacy. For government officers to use cell data or infrared technology to track people, they must have either express permission from each person or a warrant for every single individual, or that tracking will be an unlawful search and seizure. If our officials use this technology for contact tracing without warrants, regardless of where the data comes from, it will be tantamount to legal negligence. Given the recency of these Supreme Court cases, it is highly unlikely that the counties would lose a civil rights challenge and the taxpayers would foot the bill. And so the bottom line is this, and this is where things get really exciting on the lawsuit front. So I've mentioned yesterday the testing is flawed, then everything falls apart. Well, any of this contact tracing that's been done through cell phones, any damages done to the people when the government illegally did this, the government would have to pay damages, and we should be fine. Those of you who live under the Emperor Newsom, the Empress Brown, or the Emperor Inslee, who've been through this nonsense, because it's been worse for you than it's been for all of us. I mean, it's bad in Ohio, but where you are, it's really, really bad. You all ought to be getting in touch with lawyers and filing massive lawsuits if your cell phone was used to contact trace you or anybody else, if it happened through use of cell phone. Patently illegal. And this just goes to show you, first of all, that we have more rights and protection than we knew. I was so excited when I got this, I couldn't believe it. The other thing is it just shows you how disconnected these people are. I've made the comment that our government has been overthrown. Our system of government has collapsed. This is not unlike if a foreign entity came in with the military and took over parts of our government. This is why you can't reason with these people. This is why when you present evidence at a city council meeting, they're not listening. This is why when you send something to the health director of your state, they don't care. They laugh. They're laughing about it. They're doing what they want. This is why your emperor or empress or king or queen or whoever is appointed themselves the ruler of your people is doing what they're doing and saying, we don't have to give you any information. They have made themselves above the law. So, the law is on our side. The key is we have to get back control of our country again from the foreign power, or whatever you want to call this, that has taken over our government. These people are dangerous, and this week I'll be reporting on what they are doing that will shock you, and will also be coming to a location near you if we don't really work at making sure we protect ourselves. All right, my email address is pampopper@msn.com. Spread the word. MakeAmericans.freeagain.com is where you register to become part of our movement. I can get a lot of things done for you, but I need to represent a lot of people, so please help me out here. I'm trying to help you. Got to help me. And again, those people with the fake tests, get in touch with us. We have great plans in mind for those. All right. Thank you for watching. Pass this on to people who you think would enjoy learning about this stuff, and I'll be back to you tomorrow with more news.